Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 23rd day of the New Earth Summit, now in its third year, India's first integrative summit on solutions to our problems in health, food, farming, and environment. I am Darrell D'Souza, convener of the New Earth Summit, your host for this evening, and I extend a warm welcome to our esteemed panelists and also to our audience who are with us now. And on behalf of our 10 Earthkeeper groups also in India and overseas, we express our gratitude to you for taking out time this evening to be with us and to share your insights and experience so that all watching this live webinar and its recording later may benefit from the holistic science and wisdom being presented on this platform. That will help us all co-create a beautiful world that we wish to live in. So our topic for today is waste generation and its management. So I will start with introducing our panelists to the audience. Felly Gomes is a yoga instructor, public speaker, environmentalist, social entrepreneur, and the founder of the NGO Live Happy in Goa. He looks for practical and sustainable community solutions. The ethos is derived from the importance of living a clean, happy, and healthy lifestyle. Bhumiputra, which means son of the soil, hailing from the village of Asagaon in Goa, he has been working to preserve, protect, and restore his sacred motherland through a holistic approach. After enhancing his understanding on yoga across various centers in the country, he is doing his research at SVYSA Yoga University. Felly has also been traveling around the world spreading yogic knowledge and the sustainable village model. And he also shares Indian culture and yoga in Spain, where he spends half of the year along with his wife. They travel up and down to India and Spain on a cultural exchange program. So through Live Happy, Felly has been also managing the garbage collection and segregation system for the village of Asagaon till a couple of years back. Our next panelist, architect Tallulah De Silva, is an architect with a deep sensitivity for the environment, and she specializes in cost-effective and sustainable buildings. She is currently engaged in projects using mud and waste materials and is an active educator and strong promoter of outdoor learning. She is involved in various initiatives such as the Kids for Tigers project, a national level program for training schools by Sanctuary Nature Foundation, and the Global Shapers community for mentoring youth towards social change under the aegis of the World Economic Forum. She has also pioneered several urban intervention initiatives such as the No Mo Zone, which is short for non-motorized zone, to promote pedestrianization, and has developed ecological projects such as the dry composting toilet called EcoLoo. Tallulah has won several awards for her work and is an international speaker. So for the first hour of this webinar, I have a few questions for our panelists, which will be followed by question and answers with our audience at 7 p.m. who can type their questions in the Q&A box even before that time. If you would like to receive the recorded version of this webinar, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The New Earth Summit. So now for our questions to the panelists. First, we will talk about waste generation, because in this video, we want to sensitize people to where waste is being generated before we get into recycling and all of that. People need to know how they are participating in the waste generation, and of course the solution. That means, what is the alternative So we'll try to make that effort today. Whenever we say of something is not good, then we will try and give you the alternative, so that you can start using that. So start
Of
with
course.
Tallulah. That question is for you, Tallulah. We are talking about dry waste today because in our last webinar we spoke about wet waste and recycling, all of that. So Tallulah, what are some of the reasons of the increasing amount of dry waste that we are finding all over the place? And you know, besides the metro cities, we are even seeing it in villages.
So I would always say that my reference would be nature, and what are animals doing in nature? Where is their dry waste going? And if you look at it, everything in nature is a resource. So even waste is a resource, right? Of course, when you compare what happens in nature and to human activity, what we call dry waste is completely different. There is near non-existence of dry waste. Although in some parts of the world, like New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, we are now finding a certain bird called the bowerbird. It's called the interior design bird. And what it does is, earlier it used to pick up, certain colored dry leaves and place them in front of a little bower-like nest to attract the female. Today, they are sourcing bottle caps of a particular color. So it could be blues, yellows, and placing them in front of their nest. Who's generating this waste? Definitely not animals, but it is humans. Well, how is our waste, being generated? So if you see today, we are using a lot of products which are directly connected to petroleum byproducts, right? So everything is plastic, thermocol, so many other things which really last a long time in nature when you dispose them. How is it generated at such a large scale? Traditional community used to generate, like paper was used to wrap, anything that they would purchase from the market, right? Or it would be wrapped in, let's say, banana leaves, or something that came from nature. Today, everything is packaged in plastic, is to some amount paper, but largely it is non-biodegradable. And what do we do? By nature, it is called single-use throwaway. So we are buying things and the packaging is thrown away after a single use. And what is happening to the waste? I mean, we are not aware because we don't want to look at where it is going. Every plastic, let us say, every item of packaging that I throw out, right? It is going out into the river, into the water body, into the ocean. And there are these 5 gyres. So the ocean currents are forming these islands. And earlier people were thinking that, okay, it is out of sight, out of mind. So it is going somewhere where we don't see it. But it is coming back to us because whatever is exposed to the air is becoming, breaking down into microparticles, and we are breathing it in. And whatever is connected into the water is becoming plastic soup. And that plastic soup is ingested by marine organisms. And if we are eating seafood, right from shellfish to mollusks and fish, it is all coming back into our bodies. Today, cancer is finding an incident in the human populations. There is microplastic present not only in our water bodies but in the human bodies. And a recent report says that the milk that we drink, which is packaged in plastic, right? It has, chemicals, detergents, and certain chemicals which are cancer causing. That means it is predicted that nearly 80-85% of the population in India is going to be, affected by cancer. So where is the dry waste coming from? It is generated by us because we are buying products which has this packaging. And what we are doing then with the packaging, we are simply disposing it off irresponsibly.
Felly, what would you like to add to that? The sources of garbage that people can reduce.
Reduce. I would like to add to Tallulah. see, I do my heritage walk in this village, Asagaon. You know, it's called Asagaon Heritage Walk. And that's one of the heritage place. What we have is we have Wow. You know, we have Wow. This Wow is called canal, which is as Asagaon is the valley, and the sediment is the right bottom of the valley of the land is a Wow where all the water get connected. So we have Wow, and what happens is it apparently starts in the foothills of Mount Asagaon Hill. Since Asagaon is surrounded by hill, then it's the longest drainage system in entire Bardesh region of Goa. Okay, it goes to around 5 villages and come to Baga River, and comes out to Arabian Sea. Now, we are all aware of that 7 billion tons of non-biodegradable plastic in Pacific Blue Ocean. And it's been recent study has been done that 350 million metric tons has been collected, accumulated every year. Now, to that, the size what has been collected like three times the size of India in the Pacific Blue Ocean. Now, I don't know where it all comes from, but I would say around 8 years back that I personally documented in my village around 7 to 13 tons every season what is to go from my village. How? So that Wow, that heritage of Asagaon is considered as commode. You know, people have no options. So one time plastic is get accumulated, you cannot do much about it, either burn or burning also. There's a certain process because smell also comes involved, which is toxic. That's all. But burning also is a process. But easy way is to collect and throw. Now the question should be, if they have been dumping 7 tons or maybe 8 tons in 3 months or 4 months to collection, then the Wow has to get filled. But why consider as commode? Because the toilet flush is the rain, what we get 4 meters of the rain every year. So everything gets flushed out and gets joined in to the Arabian Sea. And that's our contribution, that single-handed of Asagaon I'm talking about, and collects from all the other villages. Where it comes from, that I don't know, but at least what do we do about our waste, and where it comes, that Tallulah clearly said, where does it come from? Single time use, like we like to go to supermarkets and one apple is been wrapped plastic, above that there's one more plastic, and full is been served into plastic. Now to eat one apple, I have to take care of 3 plastics. And what a best way, because I have thousands things to do on my whole day list. So what do? I just remove it and I just chuck it out. Whose problem it is? Nobody's problem. Now, I would like to thank you, Daryl, for inviting me on this platform. But I would just like to share that I was spending, mostly I spend my time on the beach. So there's a jetty. Shapora Jetty. I don't know how many people are aware. Shapora Jetty is the north part of Goa, where it's close to Vagator Beach. Shapora Jetty, then comes Vagator Beach. But if you go to Shapora Jetty, where the fish is available, where most of the trawlers are there. Now, after the jetty, there's a way where you can walk towards the temple, Siddheshwar Samadhi Temple. So if you keep on walking, soon after monsoon, I have realized, because there were many ladies there collecting wood. Okay, if there was, because all the wood, where it comes from, very inquisitive, because in that wood there's a huge pile of waste. Then I was very inquisitive, knowing that how much Badem people or Shapora people do this waste, and how do they manage this waste, because it's their waste. So I started talking to the locals there, fishermen. I said, where this waste is come from? Daryl, what's the irony of the story? Okay, there is a dam, Tilari Dam. Okay, because of the extra water which is accumulated in the dam, so they release it. Once they release it, and we have hundreds of the villages across till the time it touches the ocean, all the waste, Daryl, from all the villages is washed to the ocean, and whatever is been floating and sediment, which is sediment on the bed of that Shapora River.
Yeah,
it's a huge amount. So, what are we talking about? It's one-time use. One-time use, and how they dispose. Am I to the point, or I'm moving?
yes, right. So yes, I got that point. So the one time use, plastic. And what I would like to add to that also, from what we have, been learning through the webinars of the summit, is the biggest problem that has become now a problem for the planet is this model of these metro cities and congested, concrete jungles that have been made all across the planet. So they become a place that is very dense in population, and when it's dense in population, there's not much greenery, and you're not growing food close by. So the food is grown very far at some other place. So it has to travel by, a truck or a van and all of that, or train or plane. Uh, so once food is somewhere else and it's going to take time to reach you, then it has to be packaged, and then because it has to last longer, and it has to have preservatives in it and stabilizers. So first of all, you get unnatural formats of food, and then all comes, packaged to you in your cities. And we will see that people, when they, want to go out and, to the malls, they are 80% of the time they are just picking up packaged and processed foods. So I see that as, one of the biggest contributors of garbage on a daily basis. And the only solution to that is uh, for the people. Now, one first reason is to stop having that kind of food, because it's slowly killing you every day, with the chemicals in it. And then, so I think people have to make some kind of commitment if they want to see a better world. And what I suggest is an exercise, right? Just take out one day in your life, maybe at every 1 month interval, and observe what you are using from the morning to the evening, and see how much of garbage that is going to create. So that exercise, it's a self audit. And then after that, what is the alternative? So at least for these packaged food products, I can definitely say buy fresh food every day. Get into that mentality of buying fresh food, cooking it, eating it, and for the same day, finishing on the next day, and then buying fresh food again. So the amount of, because even in your cartons, you will go and take a bag from the mall. You see, very few people do this, and which is a good practice. You take your own cloth bag, your own shopping bag, and go to the mall. And at least go to the fresh fruits and vegetable section if you can, and bring fresh food. Then the second thing is, so many suggestions right from the time you start using your toothbrush. You can have a wooden toothbrush instead of a plastic toothbrush. And there is so much of a campaign that use less paper and use less wood, because you say, a wooden toothbrush is going to cost a tree. Now that is only valid when you are not growing more trees than what you're consuming. And so it is these huge concrete jungles that are just consuming, because they can't grow any trees over there to the extent that they take out. They may grow 10, 15 trees around in the compound at the edge, right? But not at the rate that you're taking out. So that is why we have been proposing this, self-sustained, more of a village model, that people start going back to villages and start living in places there where they get their fresh food on a daily basis. So no packaged food products, and start planting trees. Because in our previous webinar, we showed that almost everything that you can need in life can be made from some tree material. We have even some cooking appliances that are, whether they're handles or I mean spoons and all that, made up of this wood. So that is a very important exercise to do, a self audit. Yes, that's a cup, right, of coconut that you showed me, Felly. Yes, wonderful. That's a soup bowl.
So this is
Yes, yes.
yeah, this is a bowl.
So
Use
I
an
mentioned,
soup, eat, yeah, drink,
yes,
pretty
I
much.
have got nice wine goblets of coconut also. The small coconuts that fall down from the tree, even they are not waste. They take them and they polish, sandpaper them nicely and use them. So I had mentioned that day about 120 products can come off just of the coconut tree, which are for our regular use, even for construction, even in the home, and likewise of bamboo and hemp and other trees. So another thing is, I just want to mention over here to people, yeah, stop buying plastic chairs, and instead, buy, if you buy five, six, or a set of four or a set of six chairs in your home, please go somewhere and be part of some plantation drive that plant some the same number of teak trees. So that way you know that you're using something that's renewable. All trees are a renewable resource on this planet, so please remember that. Everything that you're using of plastic, can you get a wooden counterpart of it? And then how can you participate in some tree plantation drive? So that's the formula. uh, Now, just to mention some other points of origin of waste is, of course, your drinking water bottles. So please switch from plastic water bottles, to a metallic, like to a stainless steel, which will last you for 8-10 years. Um, that is a better thing than all of these plastic bottles. Even soft drinks, I just want to tell people from a health perspective, a mango juice, or what is that, chiku juice or something, is an imbalanced unit of food, especially if you are taking out the juice. Of course, the chiku, you will blend the whole thing, but there are many fruits in which we throw out the pulp and we just have the juice. So we have to understand that's an imbalanced form of nutrition. It's not the way God designed it, what we call whole foods. So that causes illness over the long term. Too much of sugar without enough of time spending in your mouth, where the required amount of saliva should have been mixed. So try and eat fresh foods, I mean fruits that are fresh, and do not go for these juices that come in all of these tetra packs. Even if they are sugar free, still they are not healthy. Then, of course, one more thing I want to mention is thermocol, plastic, cups, spoons, plates, all of that. Please go to eco-friendly stores, or Google up and buy plates that are made of bagasse of this sugarcane compressed cups. Then you get areca nut leaf plates. So try to use things that are decomposing, so that they don't go into your garbage and landfill and dry waste. So, any more ideas, Tallulah, on reducing waste at the point of origin?
Yes, I like your suggestion that everybody should question self and what, how am I, in a day, what are my sources of generating dry waste, whether it's plastic, thermocol, and all those things. Me, a reflection started more than 10 years ago when I realized that every time I was going to the market, I was nearly desperate to get a plastic bag back because I was thinking that I would use that plastic bag to line my dustbin. I thought it was very, very important that I do that because otherwise it leaches, right? When you have wet waste, it leaches. So it started with that, and I began to question that. And that led me to slowly change to, somehow achieve a zero waste target on a daily basis. So from a point where I was going to the market and making sure I was getting, a lot of plastic bags at home, I started taking cloth bags with me and eliminating plastic completely. I started composting all my waste in a little terrace planter that I had, and eventually went on to start composting my house waste, and then went on to set up a similar system in my colony, which had about 75 flats. And then of course went on to share that experience with other communities. And then it begins sort of a ripple effect with everything. I began to, while I was raising my children, I began to question use of pampers, or the artificial or synthetic nappies, and so many other things. And today you have so many options where you eliminate plastic, you eliminate synthetic products completely from your daily use. So I think that is one step. And of course, then beyond that, if you want to help your community at a large level, like let's say my village or my housing colony, then there are enterprises. There are so many enterprises in Goa now. There is Sarita Sudhakaran. I don't know whether you have heard of her. She has started the Wasteless project. She's an architect and an urban designer, and she started this with an intent, of course, to bring about change in communities. There's, of course, Clinton Vaz, and all of us know of his initiatives. I mean, his initiative is globally known now, and he has an enterprise called We Recycle. So when you at a larger level with your community are finding it difficult to manage your waste, then there are agencies that you can hire and they will do the management for you. So it is important that at a level of, at an individual level, we make that effort to understand, because every bit of waste is harmful to the environment. So I think that is important, to have that consciousness, that I want to do something. Sometimes you say, no, maka kitak padna, why should I care? You know, and to add to what Felly said earlier, that, we also burn plastic. See, traditionally, what communities used to do is everything was wrapped in paper. And of course, then they would throw out in the kitchen yard, and all the leaves would be collected and they would burn that. Ash is supposed to be great, it's antibacterial. But plastic is dangerous to burn because it adds to the carbon in the atmosphere and it is toxic. So it leads to, cancer causing chemicals which we inhale. So we must definitely not burn plastic. But yes, there are agencies which again collect plastic at a city level, they bail it out and they send it to cement factories, where they say it is burnt at controlled, it is in a controlled environment. But however, the damage that it does to the environment, we all know. So what is the solution? I think today we have a lot of solutions for cities, that, a city generates all this waste, especially plastic. So why not bail it out and use it in construction? And we have fantastic examples all across the world where plastic bailed into building blocks are being used to build cities. So there are solutions available, but I would reiterate that to reduce plastic is to start with self.
Yes, thank you, Tallulah. Yes, Felly, you wanted to add something?
Yeah. As Tallulah said, it's very nice, that look, it's the process for these 30-40 years. Before that, there was no complaint whatsoever till the time we started, at least I would say when 10 years back, where Asagaon, where I live, my village is Asagaon, and now it's named for JK4, GK4. What is the expensive area in Delhi? GK1, GK2, GK3. This expensive posh area. Now Asagaon has become GK4 because a lot of Delhi residents and Bangalore and all those people. So they were already here. By then they were already here. So these are the conscious beings who is already polluted their land and now they're here. So they started getting concerned. I'm not talking bad about them. They were the concerned people who were getting that pain in saying that, oh, there's plastic being dumped in no man's land, because no man's land comes in between of the two panchayat or two jurisdiction area, where the people in the middle where they dump the waste. So like, my God, it's too much waste and all. So it's newly introduced. So how to reduce is because to come to that level, it's already been practiced to put it there by the people. And that is going to the conscious mind. And this consciousness is in their mind. And to come over that, it's something new lifestyle where they has to get involved. And the best option is of course awareness. Of course, more and more awareness in for reducing, and being aware of what? Being aware of, for example, it's quite often videos what I make for these people, like we mostly go and lab eating fish, but it's been proven by scientific reasons, by the micro plastic what the fish consume, and that's what we consume back. And it's confirmed over and over, it's confirmed. So every time by telling them, because bottom line of the story is the same people who heard this conversation in however intensive way, but nothing will be there in their mind while they consume the fish. Of course, the same the prawns head they will put in the plastic bag and chuck it out in the wow. So it's a slow process and reducing. But I feel if you really want to eradicate from very very root level, then it's like consciousness has to come involved. Like said and done, I'm not saying people, I'm saying about myself, because we have to be an example, you know, for what we need to see. Like how much do I control when I go to fish market? What do I put in? What do I put in the fish? Of course, I get a plastic bag, I wash it back, and I take it. Sometimes I forget. But then again, my responsibility becomes to that one plastic bag, what I use it from there. You know, use it from there and get it back and wash it and take it back again. And like that, I have collection of bags, because in the busy turn, there's somebody sitting on the roadside selling fish, and that's the time I'm not prepared. But said and done, I did a mistake. But what do I give solution to that as me, as individual? That one bag, I'm gonna eat it back. I'm gonna eat that plastic bag back. You know, that's at least my mentality, where I try to convince my conscious mind. So like that, consciously, if we get evolved, this individual get evolved, and individual, look, said and done, we cannot change anybody. That's a reality. What we can change is ourselves. Like Tallulah said that she's done that practice, and it sounds very nice. Wow, Tallulah. But to come to and practice to that level, I know what pain she has to go through, what sacrifices she has to go through, what sacrifice, and sometimes she has to say no to things to take, because how she would manage to take. Of course, she's a smart woman, so she will put her leaves around and take it. That's a different story. But this is an individual level, how conscious mind can change this, and it's a process, and it's possible, and it's quite possible. Like Sanjeev, who is doing the Sensible Earth, you know, such a beautiful project what he's come up with. You know, it's Maka Plastic Naka, Maka Naka Plastic. That's the campaign what he's running to. Yeah. And what he's using all that recyclable clothes, saris, and he's hired and he's took the help of self-help group, you know, self-help group, and those group is employing them and stitching some different sizes bags and distributing free in Mapsa market, in other markets, and you know, it's sort of creating awareness, again and again awareness. We went personally the other day in Mapsa market, this Friday market, and we give back. Like there are certain percentage of people who are already aware, who know everything about it, but still the mindset, still makakita kolla, still that is still there, you know, that is still there, because it's not big time getting affected. Nobody died of so far cancer at home, and even somebody has cancer at home, it's still been taken for granted that I still want to eat that plastic fish from the sea. So this is a ground reality, but one has to really get involved in reducing. Then
so yes, thanks for that, Felly, a more conscious, commitment by people. And I have a simple solution for those who cannot get themselves to make a commitment. Is just to leave the unhealthy city where you're getting sick and all, and just go to a village, okay, where there are no malls. So you will by default be placed in an environment where you will have to get fresh food daily, and not much of packaged and processed foods. And the villagers will have their uh, local alternatives, good alternatives of so many things. And that's also one of the very intelligent aspects of this eco village that I've been sharing on the summit, whether it's a small village of 1,000 acres or the 5 kilometers by 5 kilometers, 25 square kilometers, self-sustained, eco-friendly, circular economy community. It actually comes to 6,177 acres, where with just ground floor homes made of natural materials, and no plastic, and no metal required, and even no glass required. If you can make artisan crafted window panes, which are actually of wood and carved nicely with some holes so that animals don't come in, with a cloth mosquito net on the inside. So we are doing these very innovative and natural designs, which are mainly on plants. So if you start thinking in this way, how can I get everything from plants, and see that that much amount of my consumption I commit to growing that much amount of trees, that will do, wonders. So this eco village, on the last day of the summit, I will be giving a presentation of the entire flow on 30th of December, so that at one place people are able to understand the whole design. And in that place, uh, 30th of November, yeah, in that design, people will understand that uh, how this kind of model, it doesn't even require, for example, the vehicles. You don't really require cars and all that in that space. You may have a few just for transportation of goods, but everything is a 15-minute walk, whether it's your place of work or your place of entertainment or cultural community gathering or your food markets, all of that. So start thinking in that way. Uh, how can we live? We finally need the services that we want. So how can we cut out the things in between that are non-renewable? Okay, so that's a formula. So Felly, when you were talking about recycling also. Um, Now, if you could share with us any the difficulties that you had in Asagaon. I was also part of Live Happy. Yeah, I'm still, of course, still part of Live Happy NGO, and you had such a, I mean, it was a lot of hard work, handling the garbage of Asagaon. And so once garbage is generated, of course, we know there is recycling, upcycling, downcycling, and for those who, some people may not know the meaning of those terms. So recycling is when you take a product and it's broken down and put into the same category. That means you take paper, and then when it's recycled, it's again goes into a paper place where it gets compressed and it's used as a composite, paper. And upcycling is something where you take things like a plastic bottle that cannot be, they're not biodegrade, and you make a craft of it, or of some other thing. You make a lantern and you give it a higher value than its basic value. And then downcycling is when you take certain plastic materials and all, and you make these bricks or filler materials. So that's downcycling. So Felly, if you could just share with us certain aspects or difficulties that you had when, with this dry waste in Asagaon, because you were also doing waste segregation. So could you share about that?
Yeah. So once again, coming back to Asagaon, and Asagaon is GK4, so we have a lot of these rich people coming in, and there were two set of people. One set of people who already know about this waste of segregation, collection, awareness, and there's other set of people why he's coming to our doorstep to collect what. And the challenges you are especially, so it just strike me. So we used to go to their house to create awareness and then collect the waste, and it looks like it's my problem. It's look like that Asagaon was my father's village and I was trying to keep it clean. So the people, my own people of my village, oi, sakhu yaar guys, garbage. Now they're telling me, if somebody doesn't know Konkani, so what they're telling me is that, where is the bag to put this waste? And you're come to collect the waste, go get the bag and then come to collect the waste. And I said, who you're talking to and why are you talking to me like this? Because I'm collecting your waste. Yeah, you don't tell me I'm going to put the waste in front of you and burn it. I said, now this is the situation. Of course, what I said to the dead people, that's different story, but it's like whoever are driven into this so-called consciousness, and the people who are living their own bubble where they don't think that some really danger is existing. So for them, it's like to convince them, and by the time they get, it's like a lot of frustration which build up with this kind of people, and you still have to deal with this because you honor what you do. And there are very few, like Tallulah already mentioned the name of Balen is there, then this guy Clinton is there. There are many Claude. So there are many working on this thing. So the thing is, so coming back to this JK, first of all, Asagam. So when I started collecting waste, I got very fascinated by the alcohol bottles because I've never seen such a, because all the waste used to come to me. And I'm like, wow, what are these bottles, man? I even found 2 Scotch whiskey bottles, which was packed. Maybe it was, I don't know how accidental, but I found this. But the point is, so I collected 4 truckloads of bottle because I just could not dispose it because the process of bottling was very expensive. They collect, they sand, they break it, they reuse it, and then they sell it. There's sort of lot of work. So what I did, so I was luckily I found this bottle around 10 years back. I created this bottle. So I got the village women involved, all these migrant women who were there. So created a job for them just by removing the, they used to have a label here, just to put in hot water, remove the label and put it in the second container, make it boiling water, sterilize it and make a jamun cork. Now this is a jamun cork. Now jamun has a content, a lot of medical properties. Jamun is a purple fruit. So the people who doesn't know what is jamun, it only grows in India, by the way, jamun. So it had a lot of medical properties and put a crystal on top. You know, this crystal on top here. And now why? What is the reason? Now this, of course, and I wrote here, live happy and all. You know, I embossed it. Now, what is the reason? Now this becomes like a magical bottle, upcycle. Of course, it's upcycle, but imagine the magic what it creates. Water is the fundamental thing in our body. Now, how do we consume water? From the plastic pipe, PVC pipe, and then a lot of contamination happens on the way. Now you can re-energize, give the memory back to the water. How? You fill the water, you put this green bottle in the sun, it absorbs all the energy what you need, plus it energizes with this live happy, plus it energizes with the jamun cork, and plus it energizes with the crystal on top. Now what else you want? The entire water becomes amrit. The people who doesn't know amrit is like exhaler of life. Now you get this power out of waste bottle. But here comes our people. What is this bottle you're selling out of garbage? 150 rupees has to sell this bottle. You know, it's come out of garbage. Now, you know, this is one part. Bottle is one part. I run a school in front of my house that's called Happy Home. That entire school we made out of bottles. Just because in front of my house is super jungle. That entire jungle has been cut and they made the entire hill level, so they were removing a lot of mud. So upcycle the mud. I got the mud, just put the mud and the bottle, and the entire wall is made out of bottles. And the ceiling and the roof. Now Tetra Pak, I don't know how do they reuse them. There's no reuse of Tetra Pak, as far as I know. So this upcycle in the sheets, you know, they make these asbestos sheets on top. So this entire upcycle with the sheets on top. So there are a lot of good reuse and upcycle possible. At least this is my experience, what I have done here in one village of Asagam.
And Felly, along with your waste segregation and all that you always do on the premises of Live Happy, you had also at one time started a composting unit where some of the wet waste also people who did not want to compost their own thing, you were taking that. I remember that part of the project. I don't know how much it ran, but the wet waste was also taken and composted because that wet waste can be made into manure. Right?
Absolutely. The wet waste, then I slowly moved to Mapsa municipality, because what was about the wet waste? Because the collection from house to house collection and the one decentralized was in Happy Home. The Happy Home supposed to be the meditation center, but then it turned out to be a garbage area. Waste area. And it was collection point there. But then we realized the stink was coming because people were not segregating their waste. So in that plastic, there was a lot of waste and there's maggots and all those things to be transported there. And that was the problem. So about that project, about the composting, of course, it's like a gold. That was shifted to, I because Mapsa municipality has a bigger plant to do the waste, but yeah, so that was shifted there.
We do have, some good organizations in Goa and in other states also. Like in Goa, there's Sahas here, and it's even in south of India who are helping people, process dry waste and also wet waste. So now the next step is that any ideas, about how people or concerned citizens like us, people who have some exposure and experience in teaching about all of this or implementing some of these solutions, whether through our own small communities or through organizations. How can we take it in a very organized way in our city or our state? So the idea came of making, a committee where it's not just 1, 2, 3 individuals or their organizations trying to do their best in their area, but rather have a bigger community which can actually start informally, maybe just through a Telegram group. Um, and then in 3 months or 4 months, as they start, getting their act together, and that's what we'll talk about now. What can this committee do? Later, they can, get it become formalized. So, what are the different, things that a committee? The first thing is who are the people who should be in this kind of committee? Tallulah, if you could share.
Yeah, so
Join.
there is a lot that you can do, and if you see individuals, there are many individuals all across Goa that are already doing, so much outreach effort and awareness. So there is a whole initiative in schools. That was one of my friends, Nandini, who started Nalini, who started an initiative under Communicate Trust in all the schools at the taluka level on waste management. So, and there are individuals, of course, I myself have been doing a lot of awareness right from city markets to schools, where we take children and engage them in making things out of waste or even paper bags, and then going to the markets and meeting people and consumers and creating an entire awareness for the whole day. So the idea is to bring all the people on board to the committee, and it could be a state level committee, and then you branch it out to individuals who can then represent the local area. That means village level. So we need to have village level committees, town level, and the city level, and the state level committees. And it should have individuals right from ecologists who are waste management experts, people who have worked in the sector, everybody I would say, who have done, solutions, worked on ground. There are a lot of initiatives where villages, of course, in far-flung areas have looked at such programs, whether they are done under CSR or done under, some benefactor. So I would say all kinds of individuals. It should have diversity in the group. So largely waste management experts, but it should also have people from, it should have artists, it should have ecologists, it should have architects, it should have engineers, because the understanding of waste and application it can be applied to all professions, even doctors, right? Because waste and plastic especially is impacting all our lives. So I feel it should have a very diverse group where we have all these people. And of course, it should have at least 50% of the committee having people who have worked in the sector, have looked at awareness, looked at solutions, and implemented them, whether in schools, at village levels, or at the state level. We should have these. We should also look at an advisory body. I'm saying that the New India Summit, the outcome of that is management committees in all different sectors, right from architecture, for the eco village, you had a committee, to waste management, to health, food, everything. So all these committees should also have a governing body of advisory people, people who have immense experience who can become advisors to the committee, and that is important.
Yes.
And these could be people from all across.
Thank you, Tallulah. Yes, I've been taking notes and putting down all these categories. Felly, who else do you think should be in these committees? Should we have heads of educational institutions so that they can also be part of the education programs that these committees make?
Look, as far where I come from, and Daryl also joined the project what we were doing 8 years back. Very much that we finished 8,000 children across at least North. Daryl, it was very intense, and what we did together. So just to tell the people, the audience, what we had done was, as we were already inclined with ancient yogic knowledge and that's consciousness involved. So how this could help integrate in creating awareness among children, because they are the future. So what we have done is that design a model, design a live happy therapeutic session is to call. And in this, what is to happen is that when the awareness is created, one should understand, when we create awareness to children, there's already 1,000 thoughts in children's mind. And on top of that, we're going to put more thing in their mind. So we have done little different. So what we have done is we first try to empty the thought processing, empty what is there in your mind, the children's mind. How? By putting them into friction mode. Now, what is the friction mode? We would just take the music and make them dance, shout, scream, and empty whatever they have first, and make them really tired. So once they're really tired, they get automatically into the meditation mode. And once they get automatically into the meditation mode, we activate their anahata and sahasra or achana. So these two things, once they align, we activate. Now, how is activate? Is done through a certain systematic way, to ancient yogic way. And once, through the guided meditation, once they're open and we get them out of their deep state of mind, that is a relaxation and meditation. Once they come out of this process, is to take around 45 minutes to 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Once they come out of this process and they are on the trip, okay, just to make it easy, understand, the children will be on trip, just putting smile on their face and open to listen. Then is the awareness what we wish to create is just 15 minutes. That is what is needed. Now, every time, like for example, this our authority, in the name of awareness, what they do, you all know very well what's happening around. Now, there should be certain this kind of technicalities, in a way of playing, in a frame of music, in a way of whoever and who are conscious being, the people, they should be on the committee, giving all this innovative and creative ideas, which awareness doesn't mean is that we come and I show on the notice board, oh, they will look at this plastic, then it's going to the sea, and the sea, the fish eat, and the fish comes on the table, and then we eat. Children know all these things, but how do we project? How do you show them in a very creative way, the way they like, and that can create an impact. So we need people like this on this committee who can get this really creative. For example, live happy, live happy, live happy, live happy, live happy, live happy. Mogal baboyrano, sangta tumka good. Kalzan sun sangta marina tumka fort. Garbage everywhere, heart goes in depression. Stop complaining and do your segregation. पहिले आमचे गोय फुलांचो गांव अरे गार्बेज पोन सगळ्या ट्युरिस्ट माता दाव पैसे करून मिनिस्टरांनी घेतले व्हडले भाट अरे नदर मारून पळया तुम्ही गोंयची लायली वाट अरे गोंयकार तुम्ही गोंयकार जाई नाका ग्रिडी साफ धरून गोंय मुणात बराबर लिव हॅपी
Wonderful. Most of Goa knows Felly's amazing song, and yeah, it's been there's a video also on it. I think a few videos about it. And yeah, that needs to go around, and fairly definitely translated versions also for across India for those who don't understand English and Konkani.
So basically, I'm telling the ministers, don't be greedy. Just be save what our ancestors has given this land for our future children, and do something very systematic, and don't shoo the tourists who are coming to see the beauty of the flowers, but not the flowers of the plastic. So this sort of sending a message to them in Konkani, so the local can understand.
Yes, yes. So definitely, this is part of the work that the committee should do. That is, innovate education programs and even, certain movies that can go around and be publicized on all of these themes. And I just want to share one more thing with the audience, especially for those schools that we program for in Goa. Simple idea. Maybe you all can also do it, or we will share those what we have done. I still have that on my computer. In fact, a soft copy. It was this A3 paper size. Okay, the big sheet, and we had folded it so that if this was the whole paper, then two corners we folded it and we closed it. So it was just one sheet behind with two folds. And when you look at it in front, it said the problem. And on one side, we showed the dry waste, how it gets into landfill. And then once the other side, we show the cycle, by pictures, okay, of how the wet waste goes into our nalas and then into the ocean. And then when you open that paper, right, it says the solution. And then you gave all the routes of less usage, then recycling, upcycling, downcycling, then composting and all of that. So that became very exciting. We in fact showed it first on the presentation through PowerPoint and took them in the animated mode of showing all these things. So the children got very crystal clear in their mind. This is the problem what we have created in dry and wet waste. And now this is the solution. Then if every child would get that, just one paper printout with this, and then they would take it at home. And we told them to go and stick it on their fridge or something. And so they became the instrument of teaching their parents and bringing it to their attention all the time. So these very innovative techniques, children are wonderful. If you put them up to something good, they will do an amazing job. And Tallulah has also been working with children. So Tallulah, if you would like to share some things that you've been doing with the children on this awareness.
Yeah, so the larger, I work with both architecture students, then the business students in colleges, and also, the children in schools. So generally the initiative is, to take them out. So the first thing that I do is take all children out on a walk in different ecosystems. And one of the most glaring things we come across is garbage everywhere. In fact, we were thinking of doing an initiative where we show children speaking about with the setting of destruction in Goa and setting of garbage in Goa, saying, we're welcome to Goa, with all the garbage behind, so that it drives around a point. So why this is important? It is important that, see, children are inheriting this future that we have ruined with, littering, with garbage, and really messing with the environment. So it is important to, they are innocent, but it's important to show them that, there are solutions and that they need to speak up. So often when I take the children outdoors, it is that, whether it is to talk about water and springs, or to talk about, the mangroves or the rivers, the topic inadvertently moves to garbage. And what are the solutions, what we should be doing. So we work with children, and also in the kind of architecture that I practice, like how Felly has shared, a large part of glass bottles are used in making walls or replacing window glass, by using glass bottles. So a lot of solutions, but when you show children these solutions, there is a way forward. I was also engaged with a global challenge called What Design Can Do. And it basically invited individuals from all across the world and to come up with solutions to address waste. And for all kinds of waste, right from construction waste, debris, to plastic waste and everything. And the solutions and the the projects that each of the participants came up with was fantastic. So there is a need to work with children from schools, where we also encourage them to come up with solutions, and this is already happening. We often do project in the market, where we take students and talk to them about speaking to people in the market about not using plastic, about the impacts of plastic. And it's very, very powerful, because every person we talk to, see, everybody doesn't intentionally litter. Everybody doesn't intentionally throw out that plastic bag in the fields. It is simply because there are no mechanisms. Our village panchayats are given funding. They are mandated to collect plastic, but they don't do that. They don't collect plastic. There are about barely less than 20 villages out of more than 350 villages in Goa that collect plastic or dry waste. Why is this happening? That's because our representatives themselves don't know. You ask the sarpanches, you ask the panches, they don't know about what can be done with waste, what can be done with dry waste. They don't know the best practices. So how are they even elected as our representatives? So it is important to also hold them to task and make sure that they are made accountable. And again, it is all left to us. If we have a managing committee set up where we have all these diversity of people, then we can petition every village to set up these systems. And that is also required, using the provisions in the law to make our representatives and politicians accountable is very, very critical.
That's very right. Taking a point from you, Tallulah, the education is not just for the children. It is for all these people, us, and for especially the people in panchayats. And maybe they don't want to sit in a classroom. So we should make a very interesting movie, And I was just thinking, just one small movie, whether it's 15 or 20 minutes, of this point that we have talked about, the self-audit, right? We should make a movie on that, I guess. A self-audit, somebody who's sitting in the city and from morning to evening, how they are watching everything that they're using, and how they can imagine using an alternative, or they look at their neighbor and the neighbor's using an alternative. So that would be a very interesting thing with some jokes, and I'm definitely, if the Felly is the director, the movie is going to really have some great great fun and ideas in it. So definitely money is required for all of these initiatives, and that's why we should have our committee members also connect with organizations through the CSR route, right, to get funding. Because now through this committee and its very innovative designs, I'm sure when a good experienced body of people work together, they will be real good experts at making all these separate projects, right? Move for this, campaign for this, education programs for the panchayats and all of that. So I'm just noting that point also down of approaching this committee should approach organizations with CSR. Uh, yes, Felly, any more work for the committee that they can do for the state to help out with this garbage problem?
There are many ideas, many which can go forward, but as I said earlier, only creative and innovative can get involved the participant more in the for the committee, by just not making by policies and all this so-called how the it's good government is doing something nice, but needs to get into different level, different level of if you really want to see the difference. And most things have been spoken. There's not much rocket science to get a change.
Right. So now, I'll take up a couple of questions. Yes, all of this, other work. Once we sit down with the committees, we can take up all these aspects of where all of this education can be done, where there are people with high density and creating the garbage, like the cinema halls and public parks, and tourist centers and schools, colleges, social clubs, uh, and I'm sure religious institutions also would be able to, somehow help us out. And definitely, I think some activity and at the marketplace, right, Felly, where we go to the big bazaars, like how Sensible Earth is doing, at least for the bags. Um, so there are a couple of questions here, which I'm just looking at from Ashish Mukherjee. His question is, does anybody have experience with mini scale waste to energy from plastic waste? Can reduce load on power grid and off grid living system for simpler needs. Wondering if such a technology has been improvised on small scale. Um, well, yes, it's there on big scale, but I don't know about small machines. Tallulah or Felly, you all know smaller machines I just
I'm
for.
aware of solutions across the world where waste is used to generate methane gas, but not in India. I know that there was one project for the Marga municipal market where the wet waste, the fish waste was used to generate biogas. And similarly, there's an agency called Alternate Energy by the founder is Brian Friesch and Samruddha, and they have implemented. It's one of the best practices in South Goa, where all the shacks on the beach, are generating biogas from their waste. So these are there, but from plastic. Right now in Goa, I'm aware that all the plastic, especially in large cities, Panjim city at least, Sahas is currently managing the segregation center in Panjim Santinesh. And what they are doing is they are baling the plastic, they're making big blocks out of it. And what I know is they're sending it to cement factories out of Goa, where they are, of course, used as fuel basically. They're burnt, right? And they're used as fuel. But again, that's not the best solution. Currently, that is what is being done. And like Felly said, tetra packs, tetra packs are taken and they are made into corrugated sheets, which are used for roofing. And so there are solutions. They're also making, furniture and other components like that. But this is as far as I know. We don't have the technology to handle, generation of gas or energy from plastic waste yet. I don't know whether, that is the step we need to go, or whether I'm sure and I'm convinced that the step first is to completely reduce plastic, to ban plastic to a high level, because we know that it has implications on our health. So and there are solutions, right? So to only have plastic which we use, wherein the components are that we use are longer lasting, and we don't use a single throwaway plastic at all. So I would support a complete ban on plastic in our state, which the government should do, and because that has already been done in many other countries.
Very right, Tallulah. That's. Uh, I have another question from Ashish. He's asking you, Tallulah, as an architect, what do you think of eco bricks? He says he has a doubt about the end of life of these structures and durability for load bearing.
Yeah, so like I've often reiterated or said that, see, if you look at the forest communities or our villages in the periphery of the cities, they are more sustainable. They are generating less waste. It is the cities that are generating a very high amount of waste. And like Daryl already mentioned, it is the malls, it is the, cinema halls, where you have everything packaged in plastic. Of course, now they are using paper, but they are the big generators of plastic waste. Now, therefore, if the city is generating that, the city should use it as a resource. So if you look at construction purely, that means debris can be used, plastic can be used, and also what you call eco bricks can be used. We are already using fly ash. We are already using cement blocks is the worst, but fly ash, which is waste from thermal power plants, is being used. So I would say yes, it is a good idea, but where do we use it is very, very important, because cement bricks, fly ash bricks generate a lot of heat. If you put them on the external part of your house is going to get hot, and therefore you would need either natural methods of, cooling the building with cross ventilation, or you would need mechanical and artificial means like air conditioning. So where these blocks are used is very, very important. So I would say use it for public buildings, use it for spaces in the public sphere where people don't, stay and live there. Correct. So we can use it for spaces like bus stands, public facilities, where it doesn't have a direct impact on our lives and health. And if plastic is used as a baled block also, like in mud, we have wattle and daub, where we make a frame of bamboo and you just, slap mud on it and you create a wall. So similarly, plastic can be used as an infill material and you then, enclose it with mud, So, but the use of the building should be, such that it is not used for habitation, for living, because we don't know the long-term impacts. We know that plastic in water and plastic in air is leaching microparticles which we inhale and therefore impacting our health. So we have to be careful where we use.
So yes, I also would like to mention, one thing, because we come with these needs for all of these things. That's something that should be, high load bearing. Now, from where does that idea come? That idea comes from a preconceived notion that we need to live in a multi-story building, whether it's two, three, four floors, and that's therefore it has to be load bearing. But I just want to share that, we have done calculations with very comfortable housing, like what I've shared earlier, a villa with 500 square meters around it in every place. This earth can take more than 10 billion people. So it's a complete lie what you are seeing now in the public media, that there's overpopulation with 8 billion people, and this planet cannot take it and we have to bring down population. That's a complete lie. One of the biggest problems is this, that is the damming of rivers. So when you dam a river and you create a big reservoir, automatically that water is meant to feed a very congested city, because people need to drink water every day. So that damming has caused a concentration of people in a city close by, which all of this water is fed to. And because the water is choked up and not allowed to flow down, you have the downstream villages and all, drying up and shutting down. So if that water is left to come down, then you'll have a spread of population all across the land. And it's not just that we have to be so basic in science, saying that we can only have populations living by the rivers and streams. No, we can have them living inland also, but then, as we have shared in the summit, you need to have good water conservation techniques and rainwater harvesting systems, and capture all the rain that's coming to you and keep it within your property, or charge your water aquifer. So all of the designs of the New Earth Summit with this village will show you that life can be very natural. So for these kind of structures, you just need some stones and you need mud, the local mud for from your area, and you need wood that will come from growing enough amount of trees. Just these three things will be good enough to make natural homes. So I think we should leave all these old ideas and preconceived notions and look forward to simpler constructions, but with better comfort and definitely much better health. You know, that should be the design. And I'm so looking forward. I'm just waiting for all the ideas from our panelists to play out till the 29th of November, because I'm taking all these amazing pieces and putting it into this design of this eco village, which I want to present on 30th as a culmination of all our ideas and the shape of new earth. We are trying to create pieces of new earth, that is beautiful communities, living spaces that are more artistic and more healthy than what you're currently living in. So of course, I mentioned it in a previous webinar that the perfect design can happen in a greenfield project. That means where the land is, new, but the same designs, a lot of those 80% we can incorporate in a existing village, and I think at least 50% we can incorporate in our cities and try to make our cities more green. and there will be a transition period where those concrete structures and multi-story buildings, they come to the end of their life, whether it's 10 years left or 20 or 30 years. And then when they not livable, we need to leave those spaces and come to these new healthy living spaces, and design. So people are already working on all these models. It's not that there is some new science that has to be developed. People are already doing it. You start going into your ancestral places, into your villages, and start uh, uh, building such amazing communities. And through the New Earth Summit, this is what we are showcasing and trying to do the first prototype in Goa. And there are few others also in this country who are trying to make wonderful communities. Auroville is a good example of such a community. People should go and visit it and see how well things can be done in a natural way. So there's another question from or a suggestion. State committee can help link up village communities with recyclers and waste processing organizations. Tourist spots need greater attention. It's very right. That's from Ashish. And I will just see if there's anything more. Right. So yes, so we have answered those questions, and if there's anything in closing that you want to share, anything more, Felly?
उगली काणी आयकोन आतां उगी बसया सगळे युथानो गोंय साफ आमी करया गांवांत म्हजे हांव कितले त्रास काडटा सगळे म्हजे दूख देवाक हांव भेटयता condom and diapers are all hygienic but dumping on nature is not at all cynic all the problem can really go away for all we need to do is meet halfway sisters and brothers mother earth is kind consciousness is nature and that's the bottom line. Live happy, live happy, live happy.
Live happy, live happy. Thank you, Felly. Thank you on that good note.
Thank you.
We will wind up today's session. I'm so thankful to both our panelists and to the audience as well who has hung in with us so far. I hope you'll have got some new ideas, and at least your thinking is going in a certain direction towards a lower carbon footprint and lesser garbage, content life. And please do share today's ideas with your friends and neighbors. And we look forward to seeing you again at the same time tomorrow on the same link for our day 24 topic, Oceans, Coasts, and Marine Life Committee. And we are going to talk about those issues tomorrow. What are the problems and how these metro cities contribute to ocean pollution, and like Felly mentioned today also, how villages contribute. And we look at that and see what are the different solutions, and also talk about a committee and what it can do to clean up all of this. And tomorrow you will understand about how much of oxygen also comes from the sea plankton, and why that is even much more important to conserve and not let them die, because the land trees make much less oxygen. So it'll be a very informative session tomorrow as well. Please join us. And thank you once again, Tallulah, Felly, and wishing you all the best in your efforts to make this healthier and garbage-free world.
Thank you.
Thank you. All the
Thank
best.
you, Daryl, for giving us opportunity, a platform to share our feeling. And it's not that all your participants could learn something because they are all sound and they are doing their level best. It's just that I feel, the people who already joined this webinar, they're already doing their part very good. It's just that why do they join? Maybe they want to see something creative and innovative can come up so that they can, implement it in their ongoing process. But never mind, it's full of energy and all of love and blessings to you all. To you all.
Yes, one second before there's another comment. Yes, so Harshit Kothari says, isn't plastic a byproduct of petroleum waste? Yes, of course, it's a product of petroleum can the petroleum waste be processed in a better way instead of creating one-time use product like plastic bags? Yes, Harshad, that's the same thing we were talking about, how not to create these plastic bags and have cloth bags and so many other kind of canvas bags and jute bags, everything that comes from plants. Okay, so once again, I will end today's webinar with that two thought ideas to seed in everybody's mind. One is that please do your own energy audit or garbage audit from morning to evening. Take out maybe this Sunday. Okay, please take out your mobiles right now and make an appointment for yourself that this Sunday in the comfort of your own home you'll do your your garbage audit. And the second thing is also start listing down what are all the things in your house of regular use that you can replace with wood. You see, even we sweep the floor with the broom and we use this plastic thing. You see that even that can be made of wood. Okay, so just think, so many things can be made of wood, and then parallelly you figure out which tree plantation campaign you are going to join, whether it's teak trees or sandalwood trees and all. Find something close to you and start compensating for those wooden products. Thank you everyone and God bless. Good night.